Hello and welcome to Enemy and Estate. Today we're going to be looking at business bollocks and in particular HSBC's guide to business bollocks. Everybody would agree with me when I say that business is full of absolute bollocks and bullshit, from fucking buzzwords that don't mean anything to things like body language. HSBC, one of the most loathsome institutions in the world, recently decided to make a series of adverts about how to be better at business, how to become a business entrepreneur and stuff like that. Which is kind of ironic when you think about it, because HSBC has basically gone bankrupt. Well, it would have gone bankrupt if it wasn't for the fact it was bailed out by millions and millions of pounds of taxpayers' money, at least. So perhaps they're not the best people to get business advice from. They're going to give us a lesson in how to get taxpayers' money if you go bankrupt. The whole thing seems kind of fucking pointless, doesn't it, really? Anyway, let's see what they have to say about body language and how this will help us become swinging fucking business pricks.
Your hands are fundamental when you're speaking.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Helen Sewell, who is a body language expert, because we live in a day and age where people have job titles like body language expert. Okay, so my hands are fundamental when I'm speaking. Most people would probably say it's the mouth, but what do they know? They're not body language experts, are they?
They form part of your communication naturally. So stopping yourself from speaking by, for example, holding your hands tightly or putting them behind your back is really not going to be very helpful.
Okay, so don't clasp your hands to stop yourself from speaking. So no more of this. Because can't say it. I'm keeping it locked up in my hands, aren't I? And don't put them behind your back either, apparently. Yeah. You shouldn't do that. I mean, you can't have a serious conversation with somebody if they're just like this, can you? Or if they're like this. I think that's what she's getting at there. Don't look like Mr. Burns. Good advice. What if I keep them like this? Is this okay? What if they're up here? Is this okay?
You've probably seen a lot of politicians doing this. It tends to show confidence. I'm a really confident person here.
So she's actually advocating the Mr. Burns thing here. It's quite interesting. I must say it does work. I do feel quite confident now. Look at me. Mr. Confident. Oh, I tried this earlier when I went into the local cafe and asked the waitress there for a blowjob. And she said to me, definitely. Why? Because I look so confident today with my hands.
And if you turn that round, this is more of a listening posture.
Look, this means that you're listening to somebody. Apparently. I'm listening. When I was doing a training day for work years ago, I got sent to one of these body language things. And there they said to you, if you're listening, you have to cock your head forwards like this. I guess the body language world must have evolved since then. So we've gone from listening to listening. I'm not standing back up again. Listening, you know what I'm doing.
So use your hands, use them naturally. Don't even think about it, they're there to support you.
Wait, I'm confused. We just spent the last few minutes learning how to use our hands properly so that we can communicate effectively. And now we have to unlearn how to use our hands properly in order to communicate effectively so that we can use them naturally, which we were doing in the first fucking place. The problem is you just can't stop doing it because it's such an effective way of communicating and you get taken so seriously. As you can see, I'm Mr. Confident. Oh, I feel like David Cameron before he fucked up Brexit.
The things that's really important to do to create an impact is to connect yourself with the ground. And that means standing with your feet hip width apart, facing forward, and feeling the support of the ground underneath you.
What you have to do is you stand with your feet apart on the ground. You can't see what I'm doing this. It's like that. Like this. Yeah? So I'm connected and I'm confident. Here. Confident. Confident. Listener. No, what was listener? No, forget about the hands. But stand like this. But stand naturally, I'm sure. So stand like this. Naturally. There. There. Perfect. It's all coming together. It's impossible to stand like this and not think about that bit in Blackadder.
Try putting it all together. Unaccustomed as I am.
It's become a bit of a thing with the Tories a few years ago, didn't it? Where they were notorious for standing in silly positions, feet connected to the ground. I mean, it's impossible to stand and not be connected to the ground, isn't it? That's absolutely ridiculous. This is standing, but so is this or any other. You can't see. Imagine you could. Imagine you could see. Okay? Now, I do feel more confident, I must say. It's quite nice, actually. Feels good. Like a business prick. Yeah? Gonna make some fucking deals. Yeah.
Because the ground is solid, stable, reliable, it somehow imbues you with those properties yourself. So you can start to come across as solid, secure, stable, and reliable.
I mean, this is this woman's fucking job. She's being paid to do this. Because the ground is hard and stable, by standing connected to it in a certain way, you imbue the properties of the ground. Why you would want to come across like the ground, I don't really know. Yes, it's hard and stable, but is concrete really something you would want to come across as? Pavement? A large portion of us is made up of water, so should we also therefore try and imbue all the elements of, for instance, piss when we speak, by connecting ourselves to that? You can apply this concept to anything and it doesn't fucking work. Okay, so that's it for today's enlightening HSBC business lesson, where we learn to stand on the floor and use our hands in a natural way whilst learning to be unnatural about it, but then unlearning that to come across as natural. Make of that what you will. Body language gets treated as if it's some kind of unquestionable science. Businesses have spent a lot of money over the years teaching bullshit like this regarding body language, as if it actually means anything. Body language is essentially a farce. It's a completely subjective thing, which has somehow taken on this form as if it's some sort of be-all and end-all, and you have these concrete points that this means that and that means this. The reason that I say it doesn't mean anything is because it's very easy to deceive. In fact, this whole thing is about deception. So take, for example, an employee and an employer who go on these courses, and they're both learning about body language. So the employer is learning about the things to look from the employee, and then the employee is learning about the things to say to the employer. Now, this means that the employee is learning ways to come across as being perhaps more truthful, more open, more honest, and the employer is looking for this in turn. But the problem is, if he's faking this in order to get the right response from the employer, then it means that he's not actually doing the things that the body language is claiming that he's doing. He's being deceptive. They're both being deceptive, actually, but he's being deceptive at this point in order to come across as being open and honest or confident or whatever it is. So this invalidates the whole thing. And then what happens when everybody knows the agreed upon body language signals? They have to change what they are to keep the business going. So this is the problem with it. It just doesn't make any sense. It has no fixed points in reality because the points keep changing depending on the game of deception that's going on. So that's it for today. Next time we're going to look at the art of pitching and how to pitch your ideas, which should be interesting. Until then, au revoir.
So you can start to come across as solid, secure, stable, and reliable.